Welcome to This May Get Raw, Building Wise Resilience, a podcast by survivors for survivors. I'm Lisa.
And I'm Sarah. As domestic abuse survivors, we know what it's like to rebuild after the unthinkable. We're here to walk alongside you, from surviving to thriving. Each week, we'll invite you into honest conversations about the hard stuff and the powerful stuff. The shame, the fear, reclaiming your identity, and stepping into the life you deserve.
This may get raw, but that's where transformation happens. Let's get started.
How are you today, Lisa?
Hi, I'm doing okay. How about you, Sarah?
I'm hanging in here. I'll be as transparent with our audience as I am with you, and say I am fighting off a cold or a flu or something. It's not COVID. I tested this morning, because I didn't want to take down the entire neighborhood. But if I'm a little less energetic than usual, that's why. But
Yes.
still very excited to be here with you. And today we're talking about a big one. We're talking about one of the most profound questions I would argue humans in general face, but survivors in particular. And that is, who am I?
Yeah.
So, when you leave an abusive relationship, an abusive situation, you're not just leaving that particular person or that situation. You're leaving behind an entire identity that was shaped and informed and sometimes completely controlled and made up by that relationship. And so figuring out who you are outside of that and what comes next for your life, for your identity, for who you're becoming, that's a heaviness that a lot of survivors, every survivor eventually has to face and has to work through. In my early days, it took me a long time to start to see myself in the mirror again, in a way that didn't feel like just an outline. It took me a while to start to fill in like the features and the colors and see myself as a whole person, that I recognized in the mirror. So, sometimes for survivors, it's you don't recognize who you see in the mirror, or sometimes as you move along through your recovery, you start to see these glimpses of the person that you used to be before the abuse, before this living in survival mode all of the time. So, there are two sides to this who am I coin for survivors. And the first is, who was I before all of this occurred?
Right.
And then the second is, well, who am I becoming now? Who do I get to become now?
Right.
I mean, Lisa, you and I love that phrase, get to, rather than have to or should or any of the rest of it. We get to decide who we're becoming next. And both those questions are hard. Both of those are valid.
Yeah.
But the point is, we get to, as survivors, decide how we answer them and when we answer them too.
Right. And our hope by the end of this conversation and by the end of this episode is that the biggest takeaway is that the audience understands they have complete agency moving forward over who they want to be, who they are, who they want to be, whether that is from the identified publicly as a survivor to keeping that part of your story private, something in between. And when it comes to you becoming someone, you're not limited to who you were before. You can't go back because your experiences shape who you are, but you're certainly not defined by what happened to you. So you have the freedom to return to your former self, create something new and entirely, or merge the two into something. And again, agency isn't a prescription. It's freedom from what you were told or you believed to survive.
Right.
So that's our biggest hope coming out of this episode.
Yeah.
You have agency, period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that sentence is just the biggest takeaway in general for our entire podcast, is just reminding survivors and reminding ourselves too that we do have agency. We do have the power and the freedom to make choices about our lives, to define our lives, to define who we are. Um, at the end of most episodes, we talk about how we're building a community that doesn't let their past dictate their future.
Right.
That's agency. That's deciding, yes, this horrible thing was done to me, but it doesn't define who I am, and it doesn't define the rest of my life.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so that's why we're talking about identity today. But running, it's the spine. This theme of agency is the spine that's running through everything we talk about.
Oh, I
This
like that.
freedom and
Yeah,
the
the through
power.
line.
Yeah, the freedom and the power for survivors to reclaim our lives and move forward in a way that gives us that freedom and lets
Right.
us embody that freedom.
Right. Right. And part of this conversation for me, part of my journey was I met X at 16, got married at 19, and left at 42. So this is a really has been scary for me because when
Yeah.
people would say, well, who were you before? I was like, I was 16 years old. I have no idea. And when you think
Right.
about our brains being fully cooked, that doesn't happen until we're 27.
Yeah.
So I almost had like a kid-like brain when I met this person that manipulated thoughts and actions and perceptions of the world. And so I just want to acknowledge we're saying agency like it's a good thing, but it can be very overwhelming to those of us that are like, I was in this for so long that I can't separate. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So I just want to acknowledge that moving forward that this is a very large, layered, complicated, and sometimes intimidating and scary process. And if you are early on in leaving a relationship, you may be worrying about your safety and other things. You're not thinking about who am I. You're like, I got to get shit done and survive.
Right.
So this is a question that surfaces and continues to surface. Like we still get to have that
Hmm.
as part of our healing journey moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Agency is a great thing, but it's not an easy thing. It's not a
Yeah.
simple thing.
Yeah.
Um, and it goes back to that something I said a couple of minutes ago. You get to decide how to answer these questions of who I am, and you get to decide when to answer them. That's agency too, to be like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not ready for that conversation quite yet. I'm still in
Right.
the thick of figuring out logistically what my life looks like. That's fine. That's a perfectly valid answer to say,
Yep.
I'm not ready to touch that one yet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the key points that are misunderstood sometimes, and we've touched upon a couple of these. When we think of identity, it's very quick to think, well, are we a public? Are we going to be public about our identity or as a survivor, or are we going to be private? Yes,
Hmm.
what happened to us is part of our identity, but that is not the conversation. That is a piece of the conversation. So sometimes when you hear identity, and you see Sarah and I here on YouTube and all the platforms talking, it's like we're not saying come join us, be public. That may not
Right.
be your choice, and that's okay. It's not
Hmm.
about shame. It's not about shame of what you choose. You don't have
Right.
to choose an identity permanently.
Hmm.
Um, it's a relationship that you have with yourself as a survivor that ebbs and flows, that's different. This has honestly been a dream of mine to get to the point where I would feel comfortable sharing my voice publicly, and that has
Hmm.
taken 8 years. So, and even now as this gets published, you and I are working through a lot of anxiety, like, oh, it's happening.
Yep.
So
It's gonna
it's
be out
it's
there.
it ebbs and flows. It changes over
Yeah.
time. Again, agency means all options are valid. You can to return to who you were, you can become someone new, you can incorporate both. None of the choices are the right choice, and none of them are healed and unhealed.
Hmm.
And again, identity isn't linear.
Yeah.
Some days you feel clear about who you are, and other days you feel completely lost. Both are normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to go back to something. So I guess the first one, the public versus private, whether and how you're going to share your story as a survivor. Um, Even for those of us who choose to be more public about it, like Lisa and I are doing, or people may do it on a smaller scale, not starting a podcast. Um, it's important to keep in mind, even if you are sharing publicly and diving into advocacy and all of these wonderful things, the label of survivor is still only a part of your identity. I
Mm.
think there's a lot of I think it's easy to fall into kind of making it your entire identity, especially when you are so passionate about advocacy and helping other
Yeah.
survivors and ending the scourge of domestic abuse. It's really easy to fall into making that your entire identity, but it's not. Right? I am a survivor. I'm a writer. I'm a creative. I am a dog mama. I'm an
Right.
auntie. I'm a friend. Right? There are all these other aspects of me that I think it's important to remember, to keep in balance, so
Yeah.
that again, it's about not letting what happened to us, what was done to us, completely define us. It informs who we are because
Right.
it's like you said, our experiences make up who we are. It informs how we choose to go about the rest of our life, but it's not all of who and what we are.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's going to be something we continue to kind of tease out throughout this episode. Um, but yes, so many different parts of who we are. Um, so how does the stealing of our identity, whether you're 16 or you're in college or you're in your 30s, you get into this relationship, like how do abusers steal it, right? And it is the systematically dismantling of your sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
And we have talked about this so many times, even though we're only on episode 5 or 6, I forget. There is intention with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they tell you who you are or who you are not. You're too sensitive. You're not that smart. You're crazy. Um, if that is true or not true, you lose. I'm trying to think of how to explain this. You believe what you're told,
Mm-hmm.
and that piece of you, whether you're a sensitive person or not, it gets lost because what you think about in the relationship, once the layers have been put in place, you're like, oh, I'm too sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having conversations when I came out on the other side, and I would say, oh, I'm just really sensitive, so this right here, like, I can't watch this movie, it bothers me. And I remember someone saying, well, I can't watch it either, but I haven't gone through what you are. That's just, you're just an empathetic person, that might be too much for you. And I was like, what? I
Oh, it's
just,
not a character flaw.
right, exactly. You're not,
Yep.
I heard all the time, you're not that smart.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, at this point, I just hear it in my head and I'm like, well, fuck you. Look what I'm doing, buddy. Figured some shit out.
Yeah, for me it was less that you're not that smart, and it was more messages of you're not capable.
Ooh,
So, oh,
that too.
you're head smart, but you're not real life smart. You're not capable of
Ooh, Sarah.
managing money or doing like the logistics of like a life.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so for me, coming out on the other side, it took a while to feel comfortable running my life. Um, and yeah, even now I'll figure something out, even something simple. And I have that feeling of accomplishment and like, yeah, fuck you. I am capable. I am a grown ass adult who can manage your own shit and rock it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, when someone who we've said this again and again, abusers are good at what they do. They're good at manipulation. They're good at finding your weaknesses and exploiting them and getting into the cracks in your brain. So they're really good at what they do. And second, if it's someone that you love, you trust, you have decided to build a life
Yeah.
with, of course you're going to believe their perspective.
Right.
You're someone you love
Yes.
tells you something, the default is to, even if you don't necessarily see what is, see from their perspective or understand what you're saying, the default is to believe it on some level. And so when it's repeated and repeated and repeated, you believe it more and more and more.
And it doesn't become a belief anymore. It's just who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Oh, I'm not capable.
Right. It's not even
I
a
can't.
thought. It's
Right.
not
I
even a
can't do this without him. I'm not capable.
right. Right.
It's crap.
It is crap. And you think about how that then reinforces their role in your life. Well,
Hmm.
if you're not capable, you're going to need me.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Like it's
You can't make it
very
without me. Yeah.
it's masterful.
Yep.
They control how you present yourself, right? Dictating your clothing, your appearance, your social media presence. That was uh constantly would ask for my phone so they could see what
Mm-hmm.
pictures, and then they would go through the, well, why did you like this one, and what did you, how are you connected with this person, and that person, we don't like that person. Isolate you from the people who really know you before the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
um they create dependence, right?
Yep.
Like, so your identity become, like, to your point, if my best friend who knows, who is supposed to know me more than anybody else in the world is telling me that I'm stupid, then something's wrong with me. Like, I got to fix
Yep.
that, or I have to accept that.
Yep.
um Weaponizing your authentic traits against you until you hide or suppress them. I am an empathetic and sympathetic and nurturing person. But when
Mm-hmm.
it became you're too sensitive, and then when that would get you are crazy, like you are overreacting, um, I would shut down my emotions. He would
Mm-hmm.
yell, and I would just have a stoic face, like, you are
Yep. You
I am not
dissociate.
I'm not going to let you know that you're bothering me right now. And
Right.
any other tears that I have, I figured the shower was safe because I had a family, so I couldn't
Yep.
just go to another room, but it was like in the shower I would lose my shit, and then I would be like, okay, just kind of like the superhuman pose of like, let's go for it.
Yep.
And then they rewrite your history. You were a mess before I showed up. No one else
Mm-hmm.
would want you. I heard that a lot too. Like, where are you going to go? No one wants you. You're damaged
Yeah.
goods. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is so heavy. Oh.
It is. It is. I'm just
I'm like,
feeling the ick in my
I
body
know,
again.
right? Like, let's get through this section.
Right? Ugh.
Okay, so how does identity confusion shows up in recovery, right?
Yeah.
Not recognizing yourself in the mirror, like you mentioned,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
feeling disconnected from your own preferences, not knowing what you like. And you and I've talked about what we wanted to eat, what we wanted to
Yeah.
watch on TV.
It's the simplest things. When you're first leaving that situation, you have no idea, and just determining what you want to eat for dinner is like, it feels overwhelming because
Yeah,
we're not used to having preferences and choices that were respected or taken into account. We were told that they don't matter. We're not supposed to have them. We don't deserve them.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
figuring those things out it's overwhelming at first.
I remember that panic, right, when someone says, "What do you want to do?" And it's like,
I have no
just
idea.
tell me what you want to do.
Right? Yeah.
Or the big one, like, "How are you feeling?" I don't know. I'm pretty fucked up. I have no
Yeah.
idea. Shit just got crazy from my life. Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like everything, literally every emotion under the sun, all at once.
Oh. Oh.
So we talked in the beginning about when you're first getting out, the question of who am I? How do I want to take on this label of survivor? How do I want to take that on? Those are like not even in our heads. When
Right.
in the immediate term of leaving the abuse. And more of the immediate term, a lot of us start to think about these things. We have come to accept the term survivor, a lot of us, or come to accept what happened to us, what was done to us as part of our experience. And then we're faced with the question, okay, I am a survivor. How do I want to own that? Do I want to own that? And if so, how?
Right. I do want to preface something that's just come to mind. Sometimes some of us do have to wrestle with this question right when we leave because people ask questions.
Mm,
So my background, when I left, I was living in a small town. I was a pastor. My ex was a pastor. And that was big news. I lived in a big old fishbowl. So there was that, okay, well, what's going on? Because we presented a certain way. So now you're not even
mhm,
living together. Like, what's happening here? So there was that, oh, do I tell people? Do I not tell people? What do I? So I think given your circumstance, you and I would acknowledge that yes, that question is there, but the deeper questioning of like, who am I? We're thinking more
mhm.
broadly, right?
Right. It goes beyond the question of do I tell this person to how does the label of survivor play into my future? Play into what I want my life to be. So for me, I told people here and there, as I came to terms with my experience, as I came to trust people
Yeah.
again. But it was very kind of like I was being very picky and choosy, naturally, as we should in the beginning. I did not, my first time publicly publicly owning the label of survivor was not something I would recommend to everyone. I got up on the stage at a Moth Story Slam event in Washington, D.C. If you don't know what those are, they're kind of like open mic nights. And the Moth Radio Lab is an amazing, amazing podcast. Everyone should listen immediately. But you get up on stage and there's a theme for the night, and you tell a 5-minute story based around that theme. So that was the first time I really said out loud, I'm a domestic abuse survivor. And I said it in front of a crowd of like 100 people. I won the Story Slam, which was
Whoop,
pretty
whoop.
freaking amazing. So I am a Moth Story Slam champion, another label I wear very proudly. But that was my first experience of owning it. And it wasn't, I didn't know, I knew I wanted to get up on stage and do this event. I had different ideas for what story I was going to tell. I didn't know I was going to tell that story until maybe 12 hours before. I hadn't like decided what I
Oh, so
was going
you
to do.
didn't decide it on the spot. You had some
I
thought.
decided I decided it ahead of time.
Okay, okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Um
I'm like, that's
but
a pretty bold move to just decide in front of 100 people.
right, I know. Um
Okay.
but yeah, I didn't, that was several years after leaving the relationship. So I was in that like medium term recovery period. But and I still can't tell you why I decided to,
Yeah.
to do that, but for whatever reason, something in me was saying, you need to own this and you
Yeah.
need to do it in a way that empowers you.
Yeah. Yeah. Check, check. And I got an award for it.
Right? Don't mind me.
That's how it's done. Drop the mic. Yeah. Wow. That's quite the story. Yeah, and that goes into our inner knowing and our, our intuition and our spirituality and how we present with the world. Like it's
Mhm.
all of these episodes are so tied together.
Mhm.
Um,
But
yeah.
talking about identity, that choosing to own my survivorship in that way kind of like wove together my old and kind of lifelong identity as a storyteller, as a writer. And that was my
Mhm.
first experience of seeing how the two could walk hand in hand. I can
Yeah.
be a survivor and still maintain my identity as a writer, as a storyteller, as a creative. Being a survivor doesn't have to be if I choose not to have it be. It doesn't have to be like a roadblock to those
Right.
things.
Right.
It can
And it,
actually
yeah,
empower those things.
right. And because it's a piece of you and it's not all of you,
Hmm.
I think it's also important, and we're going off script here, but we're talking
We're looking.
about, we try not to do that here. This may get cut. um, we're talking about owning our identity as a survivor, and we're not talking about victim.
Hmm.
To me, when I think about victim, I think about what was done to me and how that is all encompassing, and that I feel powerless in
Hmm.
that situation. For me, I have been able to step into survivor when I acknowledge I survived that.
Hmm.
That does not define me. And so I think
Hmm.
that was really key from me, from this person did something and therefore you should not feel bad for me, but yeah, a lot of shit went down, to that, like almost that flip of that switch. Like you said, you don't know what happened internally, but you were ready to own it. It's that
Hmm.
same thing of like, fuck no, I'm not going to give them credit for what they did to me. Like, fuck that.
Right.
Like, actually, I'm more of a badass than you ever gave me credit for, because I'm still fucking standing.
Yeah.
So, for those, we've talked before in the intro episode of like, we're meeting everybody in this conversation wherever you fall on the spectrum. And you and I are far enough in our journey that we're not only surviving, we're thriving. But key to that was owning that survivor piece. It was switching over, publicly or privately. Again, is different for everybody. But yeah, just wanted to kind of add that piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Being able and willing to own that part of your identity is how you reclaim the
Part of,
narrative of your life. Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
you're no longer defining yourself by what someone did to you. You're defining yourself by the fact that you're a badass and you survived.
right. Right, which we truly believe about ourselves and about
Mhm.
other survivors. And so maybe that is one of the red flags, right? If you're still living in victim identity, or like still living in like, where am I survival mode, it's, you can't define yourself um outside of what's happened to you. You can only define yourself.
Mhm.
Um you feel guilty for expressing joy or success. Like, I won this award. I got up on stage and instead of, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. That was a really stupid thing. I'm never going to tell anybody about it. I'm going to ask them to destroy the video.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, and I mean another red flag is feeling is shooting on yourself. Feeling like you should be more healed, quote unquote healed than you are, or you should want to share your story publicly, or flip side, you should keep it private instead. So you don't have to earn, you don't have to, there is no perfect survivor.
right,
You don't have to earn your rights to have agency and to define what the rest of your life is by behaving a certain way.
right.
It all comes back down to that agency piece.
Yes,
You get to decide what you want to share, with whom, how you want to move forward in the world. When we're shitting on ourselves, we're still performing for
right,
others rather than living authentically, taking the time to ask ourselves what we really want. We're still trying to figure out what facade is going to keep us safe in the world.
right.
And that's something I think all humans do to some extent, unless you're a sociopath. Um, but for survivors, especially, we put on the facade because we hoped it would keep us safe.
Absolutely.
It didn't, but
Right.
we tried. And so if you're still operating from a place of how do I need to behave in this situation to keep myself safe,
Yeah.
that's a red flag that you're still you're still in that survival mode. You haven't really owned your agency. And again, we keep talking about owning your identity as a survivor. It comes back to owning your agency and deciding what identity you want to embody.
Right. Right. Yep. Yep. And yeah. Yeah. So how does this fit into the raw framework? So the raw framework again is resilience, awareness, and then wisdom. Um, Building resilience around identity means developing the strength to hold the complexity, right? You're
Yeah.
allowed to be a survivor and an entrepreneur and an auntie and a partner. You get to thrive at life as well as be a survivor. You're allowed to carry pain of what's happened and experience profound joy. And for many of us, black and white thinking is all we've known. It's because we've controlled to live in that. And I recognize is not an easy place. Like that's gray for many of us, but being able to hold the complexity and just go, I don't know. I'm crying 1 second and the next minute I'm very proud of myself. All normal.
Yep.
All normal.
Humans, we contain multitudes. And that's really uncomfortable sometimes because we want, like you said, we want that black and white. We want the easy answer. We want the, who am I? I am XYZ. Bing, bang, boom. We have our elevator pitch. We're done.
Right.
But that's not how humanity works.
Right.
And it's certainly not how the survivor mind works. But yeah, that gray area is really uncomfortable. I am in that gray area today with this episode. Lisa, at the beginning, before we hit record, you asked me how I was feeling about it, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's something in the concept of identity I am still working through as a writer, too. I've been writing about this topic a lot the last couple of months. There's something there I haven't landed on yet.
Yeah.
It's driving me crazy. So, I haven't fully wrapped my head around this concept, and here we are doing a podcast about it. I'm living in that uncomfortable gray area as we speak.
Right.
But I've developed enough trust in myself to, like you said, to hold that complexity.
Right. Right. And that's what resilience looks like. Is you're trying on different versions. You're saying, I'm showing up today, not having it, and that's okay. And you might nail something and go, this is it. And then a year from now go, oh, I have to revisit that. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Because again, identity changes as we go through our lives.
Exactly. Too. Exactly. Yeah. Tolerating the discomfort of not knowing yet, right? Again, you're speaking to it. And there's another part with the resiliency of building a sense of self that can withstand other people's opinions or reactions. So if you're still in that place of you should, and someone comes at you and says you should, you build that resilience to go, actually, I'm okay with that. I'm sorry that makes you feel uncomfortable, but this is my story and this is what happened, or I'm going to put up this boundary or whatever it is, but you're able to stand within yourself. And so trying on those different versions is helpful. Being authentic, having even one authentic relationship, even if it's with a therapist, even if it's with a close friend, to just say, I'm not sure, but this is kind of in the gray. Can you hold space while I muddle through?
Yep.
Yeah.
So moving on to awareness, it's where you start to ask yourself some of the harder questions. So looking at noticing the gap between who you are authentically and where you are still performing and putting up those facades. So, which habits, behaviors, even parts of our personality did we take on in order to survive, and which of them are truly ours? We talk about that question a lot. I feel like when we get to the awareness part, is this mine? Is this belief mine? Is this voice in my head mine?
Right.
Is this guilt or whatever, this responsibility mine to carry, or is it someone else's? It's the same here. Is this identity this piece of my identity that I've told myself I'm not capable. Is
Right.
that true? Or
Right.
is that something I started performing as a survival adaptation because my abusive partner didn't want me to be capable because he wanted me to depend on him?
Right.
Um, Another hard question when you're starting to think about how your experience and your identity as a survivor is going to inform, how you show up in the world from here on out is, are you keeping your story private because you genuinely want to, or is it out of a sense of shame?
Right. Yeah.
Similarly, on the other side, on the other side of the coin, I don't want to make it seem like we're saying that keeping it private is always a red flag. Sometimes,
No.
sometimes, especially when we're in kind of the trauma response, we can overshare, which sounds odd as people talking about their trauma on YouTube. Are you are you performing publicly this identity as a survivor from a place of that's kind of like a safe wall to put up
Yeah.
because you don't want people to get to know maybe like deeper parts of yourself or other authentic parts of yourself? Is that like an easy label that you're putting up publicly so that you don't have to get to know people on another level? Right? So it can go either way.
Yeah. I think also with the oversharing part, the first intro episode we did was on expectations. And it was very important to us that one of those top 10 things of what to expect is like, you're not getting the tea on our lives.
Right.
You're getting little snippets, but we are very intentional about what we share. And truth be known, sometimes we go back and go, actually, that part needs to be cut because I
Mm-hmm.
woke up this morning and I did not feel good about what we recorded yesterday.
Yeah.
There are certain things that you and I have talked about privately to say, I just want you to know this will never be discussed. And I haven't even had to give you reasons. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes in oversharing, blah, 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 it's all the details and it's all this stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
you're not aware of even, and also how you're dumping that on somebody else,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like we understand that anything we share here could either come back to us or could impact someone in our circle. And so we're
Mm-hmm.
being safe and protective about that. Whereas someone
Right.
that overshares has a need, could be a compulsion, and just dumps everything. And then you're like, well, that was all the tea and more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when you're in that trauma response, it can be hard to like rein it in. I know. I mean, I've certainly been there when I've overshared too much, and then been like, "Oh wow, you really didn't need all that information about me, did you?" Well, now it's awkward. Yeah, it comes back to that question of like when if we are sharing our survivor identity publicly, is it coming from a place that we're doing it because it's empowering us and it's
right,
authentic, or is it because we don't really know what else to lead with?
right,
We haven't we
yes,
haven't done the we haven't done enough of the inner work to determine
yeah,
our identity, who we are, who we're becoming. So we're kind of just leaning on that survivor identity to be like, well, that's what I am. I don't need to think about anything else.
yeah,
I'm a survivor, and that's what I'm going to lead with.
right, right, yeah, yeah. Um, and as always, again, we talk about this with the wisdom is integration, right?
Hmm.
It's how you, when to share your story, when to hold it sacred. You can honor your past without being imprisoned by it, by not being in victim mindset. Um, Creating a new identity without losing who you were,
Hmm.
expanding who you're becoming. Um, Living authentically across all contexts, right? Um, there was a season of my life where I really truly felt myself when I had a tiny little job where I was just trying to make ends meet, and people loved on me really hard because they knew what was going on. I didn't have to talk about anything, but I truly felt like, oh, these people know me and they get it and I'm okay. Um,
Hmm.
I was authentic in that space, but then I would go into other spaces and I was just like, mask on. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like making strategic decisions about disclosing based on safety and values, not fear or pressure.
Yep.
Huge, right?
Yep.
And then the one that I think we lose track of is celebrating who we're becoming. Like, if you think about the shit that we've been through, and here we are on Saturday recording, and this is going to be on YouTube, like, damn.
Yeah.
And for two perfectionists that are saying, oh, just join us. Like, we don't have this shit figured out.
Really.
I mean, that's worth celebrating. Like,
That's
that
worth celebrating, that
is
we're willing to show up imperfectly.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So much to celebrate. And what was it? 30 minutes ago, we were both feeling very heavy in our bodies.
Yep.
Right? Like
Yeah.
it's the both. Um okay, so this is where we talk about invitation for survivors to be able to
Mm-hmm.
build on the wise resilience, right? And this is
Mm-hmm.
always opportunity to pick and choose what sounds good, what you feel like you could do, but it's an opportunity to explore further
Mm-hmm.
um, what identity looks like, right? Um, I think one of the first steps is acknowledging the loss and the freedom, right? We've talked
Mm-hmm.
about grief. Um, Grief is really important. Grieve what you've lost
Yeah.
and recognize the freedom in front of you,
Yeah.
right? Um, I know you're a big journaler.
I am.
It's a
I am.
huge practice,
Yeah.
writing and getting shit out on the
Getting
paper.
shit out. I do it every day, at least once a day. So yeah, some good questions to journal on, or if you're not a journaler, just to mull over next time you're,
Yep.
driving to work in your car, you have some quiet time, or talk about with that trusted person in your life, that therapist, that close friend. Um, who was I before the abuse? What made me feel alive? When did I feel most me?
Mm.
Um, at least I know, our experiences are different because, like you said, you met X when you were 16. I met my abuser later in life. So for me, a big part of my recovery was, it was less figuring out who I was, because my brain had, but I was a fully formed, I was a fully cooked adult when I met him. So we didn't, I didn't have that kind of like go back to adolescence and
Yes.
figure out who I was. It was more about me remembering who I had been, and like I was like an archaeologist, like digging through the layers of crap to like find
Yeah.
find the layer of like, okay, this is who Sarah was before all of this. This is what she loved. This is what made her feel most like herself. For me, it was the writing. And I was writing throughout that relationship, but it was a lot of it was performative as I look back on it. A lot of it was not, I certainly wasn't writing about what was actually going on in my life. Um, it was writing things that I felt like I should write, or in ways that I felt like I
Mm.
should write. Taking on writing jobs that I felt like I should take on, even though they didn't really speak to me.
Mm. Yeah.
So part of that uncovering of that layer of who I was before the abuse has been coming back to my true writing self.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm actually working through a pretty big layer there right now. I am a ghostwriter. That is part of my business. I
Yeah.
love it. I love helping people write their books, their memoirs, their, personal development books. These are things that I love. And that gray area, I'm feeling the beginning of the urge in my soul to do less of that and do more of my own writing. Focus on
Mm.
putting my own books out in the world again from a more authentic place. So that journey of rediscovering who you were before the abuse, like you said, we can't go back. You can't unring a bell, right?
Right.
What happened happened. What was done was done. It's part of our experience. We need to integrate it, but we have the opportunity to use it as a springboard, almost to go from,
Mm-hmm.
this is who I used to be. I'm carrying that with me, but I'm carrying it with me from a much stronger, more empowered place now because I know what I'm capable of.
And you're choosing what to carry forward, and you're
Yes,
losing, you've done the work to shed the other stuff that doesn't
exactly.
serve.
Exactly. So yeah, that's another great prompt to use for your writing or your therapy or whatnot was which parts of me did I take on during the abuse out of survival?
Yeah.
Are there any parts there that I want to keep that are still serving me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
and the last one that I really love is something I've been thinking about. Like I said, I've been thinking about identity a lot the last few
Yeah.
months, and it keeps coming. This particular question actually does keep coming up for me. Was what would I do if no one was watching? Because that's your authentic identity. It's not. There's nothing performative there. I think in this social media era, a lot of people find themselves struggling with this, because we all have this desire or drive or a need from a business standpoint or whatever to be online on these platforms. There is a performative
Yes. Yes.
aspect of it. There just is by definition. But what would we be doing still if no one was watching?
Right.
Are you doing your morning routine because it looks good on Instagram, or would you still do it if Instagram went away tomorrow and no one knew you were doing it?
Right.
The things we do when no one's watching, those are our authentic identity.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there's a song. Isn't there a song, Dance Like No One's Watching? I don't know, but yeah, that's a great question to ask. How
Mm-hmm.
would you live your life if
Right,
no one, if it didn't matter? Like if
right.
yeah, if no one had
If there was no
commentary.
external validation or
Right.
external opinion whatsoever, what would
Right.
you still do? How would you show up? Who would you be?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Great.
these are big questions.
And worth
And it can
coming back to.
change.
And
It
worth
changes
coming
throughout
back
your
to.
life.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And your healing journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. So after journaling, while you're journaling, part of what you can journal also is like deciding your relationship with the survivor label.
Mm-hmm.
And we have tried to reiterate this at nauseum. This is deeply personal, and there is no right answer. No right
Mm-hmm.
answer whatsoever. However, there are some questions to consider. If you choose to be public, what boundaries are you going to need to protect? Your
Mm-hmm.
privacy and your energy. You and I talked about that a little bit earlier.
Yep.
How are you
Stay
going to handle
stay safe above
stay
all.
safe?
That's
Yeah.
bottom line. Yeah.
It could be I was in an abusive relationship, or I relate to that person. Yeah, I relate to that person that was in an abusive relationship. Boom, done. Like you've
Yep.
acknowledged, but privacy is intact.
Yep.
How are you going to handle other people's reactions, projections, or unsolicited advice? And they come out of the woodwork.
People are wild.
Like, how do you feel about just what happened to you and your life blew up? You know?
I feel great. It was like a barrel of monkeys. Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, like, what do you want me to say here? um, and what does public mean for you? Sharing with close friends is
It's
public.
still public.
Putting it on social media, very different. Professional contexts, speaking, advocacy, like so many different layers. And if you choose to be private, how will you honor that part of your story without hiding it from yourself?
Right. Privacy
Who
doesn't mean suppressing it.
Right, exactly. Who are you safe? Who are your safe people who do know? I think it is important to have safe people, right? Again,
Mhm.
it's not the topic of the discussion every time, but especially in today's world, there are so many jarring things that correlate with an abusive relationship that just having someone that understands or knows can check on you. I have
Yeah.
many people that check on me and say, "I'm really sorry about the news today. How are
Yep.
you doing?"
Yep.
Um, and I'll just say, muddling through, like that's it, not in
Yep.
depth. What will you say when people ask intrusive questions?
Hmm.
What are your
Yeah.
boundaries?
So for you, like you said, when you were first coming out of the relationship, you were in that fishbowl. People were asking questions. You had to figure out how to answer them while still protecting yourself.
Yep. There was a lot of I'm not going to share that with you. I'm not comfortable sharing that. Honestly, the first month or so was me hiding. Like we had two grocery stores and I used to go to one grocery store and then I just started going to the other grocery store at like 6 o'clock in the morning when nobody else was around and I'd be like zip 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 zip. Now I was surviving on sweet potatoes at that point, so it was a very short shopping trip, but I was in full on like don't talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're somewhere in between, am I public, am I private? Like what context feels safe for disclosure? If I do want to disclose, what are the things I want the other person to exhibit in their personality, or what other factors? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I have had I have publicly spoken about this. Sarah wrote an article about me. I have a coaching business. There have been so many people that have come to me privately and said, I was in a relationship like that. It wasn't
Yeah.
as bad as yours because it only lasted a couple of years, or
Mm.
it was when I was in high school. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, we don't compare. And
Trauma doesn't
also,
care how long it was or
no,
how many times it
no.
happened.
And
Yeah.
we don't compare our stuff. That is a big no-no for me.
Yep.
But that person felt safe.
Yep.
And I was then able to say, I'm so sorry that someone did that to you. I'm so sorry. And sometimes that's what we need. That's
Mm-hmm.
to be seen and heard.
Just to be seen. Yeah.
Um, and then the complexity of being out in some spaces and not in others, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, no possible way can you sit down and figure all this out in one journaling session.
No.
I feel
No.
very tired just talking about all of these options.
And we're doing this very publicly. We're still figuring out how it
Yes.
works, what things are safe to share and what things we don't want to share. Like you said, there are times when we record and then a day later, I I called you in tears after we recorded a couple episodes ago and I was like, we have to take that part out. That's
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
None of this is black and white. None of this is cut and dry, and you're allowed to change your mind.
Oh, for fuck's sake, yes. Agency. We have fucking
Agency.
agency. We are
Mm-hmm.
not supposed to be the same person. And
Right.
we might be okay, and then our bodies might go, what the fuck
Talk
were you
otherwise.
thinking? Like, and that's, I think, what happens is our bodies are like, danger, danger.
Yeah. Our
Um,
bodies catch up with our mouths apparently, and they're just like, no,
yeah,
how long
nervous
is that? Take that
system
back.
regulation. Yes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and there have been times where we have said, I can't record today. It's too
Mm-hmm.
fucking heavy. There's too much shit
Mm-hmm.
going on and I can't do this.
Yep.
So experimenting, right? With give
Mm-hmm.
yourself permission, um, try on a new hobby, change your appearance, try some. This is a new sweater for me. This is like someone in my life who I
Oh,
love told me that yellow doesn't look good on me, and yet I was attracted to this sweater that I love. I bought it at a shop. I'm a big thrifter, and I'm like,
yes.
I'm gonna try it. I may
I
this
love
will
it. It's very bright. I
Thank you.
think the mustard yellow looks great on you.
Thank you. And I was like, well, this will live on YouTube and I will be able to go back and go, yellow is not my color.
But it's an
uh,
experiment.
it's an
Um,
experiment.
and I think for me it was starting out experimenting things that were like the definition of low risk,
Mm,
right? Like don't start out the gate going for something huge or trying some huge I shouldn't say don't. Think about whether or not you feel safe to
safe.
try a big risk, or do you need to start with those micro steps
Right.
of changing a tiny thing about your appearance, wearing a new different style of earring than you
Right.
usually do, right? Or like you said, trying a new hobby, going out to breaking outside of your routine and going to get your coffee from a different coffee shop. Like micro things
Right.
are
Say
how we build that
yes.
muscle.
Say yes when you usually would say no. Or
Mm-hmm.
say
They
no.
know.
That's a little hard. I don't think that's a
Mm-hmm.
micro experiment, but
Harder.
create a vision board. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
put on some music. I mean, do we even have magazines nowadays to cut stuff up? I don't know. But like, and it
Sadly,
doesn't
no.
even have to be like we think of vision boards like this is the life I want. Maybe it's the qualities I want to be a strong person. I want
Mm-hmm.
to XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
Identify people that are your role models, who you look at them and go, man, they've been through some shit and they inspire me.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be survivors. They can be
No.
unapologetically themselves, and you
Yeah.
can just go, wow, that person lives authentically. Um, and then the and practice. When you watch yourself thinking, I am a survivor, but uh thinking about something positive, right? Like, I'm a survivor, but also a badass. Change
Mm-hmm.
it to, I am a survivor and I'm a badass.
Mm-hmm.
That slight. So again, these invitations are very, very slight.
They're
Um, and
nuanced.
if they don't feel good in your body, then, like you said, manage the risk.
Yep.
Uh,
That's why they're experiments. They don't feel good in your body, or you pick up a new hobby and find out it's boring. Great, don't do it. You learned something and you stretched yourself a little bit and you
right,
worked those muscles.
right, right. Um, Taking back the power to name yourself, like practice self definition. Create
Hmm.
an I am list. I am creative. I am curious. I am a writer. I am entrepreneur. I'm becoming braver. Um, Noticing when you're performing or when you're becoming authentic, right? The verses.
Hmm.
Um, Setting a boundary around those who want to define you. I
Hmm.
appreciate your perspective, but I get to decide who I am. Um,
Even just saying that, that feels like a really big sentence to say out loud to someone. Even just responding in your head
yeah,
with that sentence when someone says something that feels like they're trying to box you into a certain identity or tell you what your identity should be. Even just saying that internally will
right,
help you kind of reclaim that power and say, no, no, that agency, I have the agency to define who I am.
right, right. Um, and then the fifth one, building consistency across contexts, right? So, um, I wanted that authenticity outside of that little tiny part-time job that I had. I wanted to be authentic in other places, and now I'm on the interwebs.
Right. But it took a while to get there, right? It doesn't happen
Why?
immediately.
No, no.
It's yeah, so it
Um,
starts with noticing which places you feel authentic in and which
yeah,
places you feel like you're still performing. And then again, those micro steps, those small experiments in the more performative spaces start to bring a little bit of your authentic self into those more challenging spaces. So, switching the code switching from, the authenticity to the facade to keep us safe. We did it for a long time because it was out of protection, but it's exhausting, first of
yeah,
all.
yeah,
And it's ultimately doesn't help us to live authentically.
right,
Um, and again, you and I are speaking to this from the perspective of two white women.
yeah,
Our load of code and context switching is substantially lower than it is for Black women and many other marginalized populations.
yes,
Um, so we're talking about code switching in the sense of being authentically ourselves versus performing out of protection. Again, there's a lot of intersectionality there.
yes,
So it's going to be easier. Again, not easier when you're only looking at one code that you're switching rather than
right.
multiple codes that you're switching.
And that we can't possibly understand.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so to the allies, the advocates, loved ones, like some invitations for you. Um, don't pressure them to be themselves. They're figuring it out what that means, and that is hopefully after hearing us, you can hear how complex that question is. Like, um, they may not know,
Yeah.
right? Your job is to create the space, allow them to be who they're going to be, and not push. Um,
Mhm.
And celebrate the small identity moments when they express a preference, when they make a
Mm-hmm.
choice or share something authentic, like acknowledging it. Like, wow, thanks for sharing. That's awesome. Like, it doesn't have to be a
Mm-hmm.
big old party going on, but
Right.
sensing when they are taking back that agency and when they're being authentic.
Yeah, and having their back when
Yeah.
they do. Knowing that they're probably going to be nervous about it, uncomfortable about it. Being their cheerleader is huge. Knowing that we have someone. We thinking of something small. We take a risk and wear like an outfit that's outside of our usual
Yeah.
fashion choices. It's a little flashier, maybe. Knowing that we're going into this event wearing this outfit and we have that cheerleader by our side who's telling us you look fantastic,
Right.
right? Something as simple as that, acknowledging when we're taking these micro risks, these micro experiments, and being our cheerleader for them. That just helps bolster our willingness to keep going and to do again and to do it bigger.
Right. 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 Um, if you know, knowing now from listening to this episode that being public or private is very personal, don't pressure them to be either
Either way,
or.
yeah.
um I'm just thinking, Sarah, you getting up on the moth stage, someone else in the audience going, oh, you should share your story.
Right.
Horrible idea, right?
Don't do that.
No, don't do that. Or, why did you share your story when we went to dinner with so and so? Like, that was a terrible
Right.
idea. Like, no, 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 no.
Yeah.
And again, we talk about when we talk about the loved one space, this can be really challenging, but don't expect them to go back to who they were before.
It's not possible.
It's not possible. Just like you couldn't be the person you were 10 years ago, regardless of what trauma or non trauma happened to you. That person
Hmm.
doesn't exist anymore, and that's okay.
Hmm.
Um,
And there is going to be a level of grief there for you as well,
yeah,
as someone who
yeah,
loved this person and saw them go through this horrible thing and saw them change. Some of the changes are going to be great. They're going to be stronger, right? They're going to be their badass self.
yeah,
Some of the changes, like watching them struggle with CPTSD, that's I'm sure from the outside it's also very difficult. You and I are just experiencing it from the inside, but I'm sure for the
right,
people who love us, it's really hard to watch.
yeah,
So, honor that grief for yourself too.
yeah,
Don't put it on your survivor to help
right.
you through it. Find trusted people in your own life, a therapist, support group, your own close friends to work through it with, but honor that for yourself too.
I'm just thinking of when I started dating my now husband. Both my parents pulled him aside separately and just said, "Thank you for bringing her back. Like, she's back." And I just was floored. I'm like, I was 16 and you guys have watched as parents from 16 to now I'm in my 50s. Like, that is a long time. There is a lot of grief for them. And so celebrate with them.
Yeah,
Celebrate, but like you said, honor the grief of
yeah,
losing. You've lost a person.
you've lost a person.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in our wrap up, because we always need to get to this part.
Hmm.
um Identity after abuse isn't finding yourself back where you were. It's about claiming the freedom to become who you choose to be in the moment.
Hmm.
You have complete fucking agency. Whether you
Yes.
identify publicly as a survivor, keep it private, something in between, the choice is yours and it is
Yep.
valid.
Whether you go back to parts of yourself that were there before the abuse, or whether you complete like get a brand new birth certificate, passport, like create an entirely new identity.
Right?
You have agency to choose that too. And you have agency to allow it to be fluid.
Yes.
Who you are today is not going to be who you are in 5 years. That's just flat out the truth for all of us. We're allowed to evolve. We're supposed to evolve. So let yourself.
Right. You're right.
And you are also more than what was done to you.
Yeah, that one is so important. So important. What was said to you, what was done to you, it does not define who you are. Never did.
No.
And if that is the only takeaway that you get from listening to all of these episodes, because you're going to listen to all of them, all 12 of them, you are not defined by what someone did to you or said over you.
I'm going to pause and repeat that back to you, my friend, because you need it. You are not defined by what someone did to you. I love you. I love you, and you're safe.
Thank you. Oh. Healing in real time. It's a real thing.
Yep. Shit that sneaks up on you.
Oh my God, right? Oh God. They will not, they don't get the end of the story. They do not get the fucking end of the story. They got part of it. And look at us now.
Yep.
Cue the music.
We need some like walkout music.
I know, right? Cut it right there. Oh, okay. Oh. I don't know how to pivot. Where's our script?
I'm just gonna end on the last one, which I love, is that your agency is hard, but it is your freedom. It is your path to freedom, is owning your agency. The things that you did, the person that you became to survive, you are not bound to that.
No.
You get to decide where to go next.
And you get to hold on to some of those characteristics if you want to. You can grit your teeth and get shit done. And
yep.
that can be a superpower. You get to pick and choose every day.
Yes. And the most powerful identity that we can evolve is the one that we choose consciously.
Yeah.
Our past informs it because we can't get rid of our past, but it doesn't imprison us. It doesn't define us. We get to choose which parts and how to carry it forward.
Yeah. And it is not static. It's dynamic. We are dynamic.
We are dynamic.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're a dynamic duo, Lisa.
Yes, we are. Cue more music.
We're teary, but we're dynamic, damn it.
Yes, we are. Where's the glitter? We need the glitter.
Yes, we need glitter.
Oh.
Next week. Oh my God. I record in my housemate's upstairs suite. They would murder me if I got glitter all over this place.
Glitter is not allowed anywhere near us. That stuff, that shit stays forever.
Yeah.
So
identity is not forever. Glitter is.
It is. It is permanent. Anyone that's done crafts with children will know this. As always, we would love to hear from you. Please share something that resonated with you. Maybe it's a realization about your own identity or your own journey, or a question you're sitting with, a decision you've made about how you want to show up in the world. We're building a community of people who refuse to let their past define their future. Your voice matters. and we would love to hear it. So
Yeah.
thank you for
If
joining
you
us
have
today.
journal prompts too, I'm always looking for new journal prompts.
Oh,
Please, please, please send those along.
yes. As you can tell, we're very small outfit here. So we are going to be reading the comments. You don't have to worry about a bot or something else. Like
It's all us.
we would love to engage. Thank you for or sending us a DM, because our contact information is available. That is also if you don't want to be public.
Yes.
Identity. There you
Identity
go.
again. Yep.
We, above all else, we hope this episode gave you permission to claim your agency and to remind you you get to decide who you're becoming. And together we are building wise resilience, one conversation at a time. So again, our contact information is available on all platforms. Please reach out. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. And this may get raw, building wise resilience. Until next time, remember,
you've survived the storm and now it's time to thrive. So let's keep rising.
Let's keep rising. Bye.
Till next time.